Commission to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Burning.
Here. To approve the minutes of the July 25th, 2016 regular meeting for the Minot City Planning Commission.
I so move.
Tonight, so just in case anybody is curious why there's no mention of the consent, there are none on consent. This is an application by Dwayne Johnson, Future Builders, to subdivide an unplatted portion of the southeast quarter, section 36 of 15583, into 33 lots to be known as Bluff Point Estates, lots 1 through 33. Also to amend the future land use map for medium density agricultural and commercial designations to medium density residential on the proposed Bluff Point Estates lots 1 through 33. And also to next proposed Bluff Point Estates, lots 1 through 33.
13th Street Southeast through 37th Avenue Southeast, right of way into the city limits. This property is located on the southwest corner of 37th Avenue Southeast and 13th Street Southeast. And with that introduction, we have the city staff
Comments and report, please.
Yes, thank you. As you mentioned just now, there are 4 items that are before the Planning Commission for consideration. The applicant is 9.5 acres, is currently zoned ag. And as we mentioned earlier, the applicant is requesting a rezoning under the PUD designation, with the underlying zoning being RM or townhouse development. We're asking for a master plan amendment because unfortunately we don't have a map shown, but if you look at your staff report, the eastern and the site, however, isn't big enough to really accommodate a commercial use, because generally commercial uses are deeper than what we see, and it would require a tremendous amount of fill to provide a commercial use at the site. So we're recommending a master plan change so that the commercial use is taken out or removed, and we're recommending a change to RM, which is a townhouse residential. The lots, with regard to zoning, the lots to the north are zoned public. There's a school, fairly new school that's to the north. And there's also R3, which is RM rather. Lots to the east are existing townhouse residential development, is a townhouse residential development. To the south is zoned agriculture. Now we're presenting today actually the first PUD of the city, and a PUD is basically employed to permit a developer to meet the overall density considerations for the site and the land use goals for the site. However, it relaxes the setback and various zoning requirements for a lot. So basically, you can cluster a development and take advantage of the resulting open space. You can create some amenities in there and do some things in the PUD that you normally would not be able to do in a regular zoning district. So the PUD actually encourages a developer to be more creative and efficient in the type of the project proposed, again, while protecting the surrounding natural features and providing upgraded amenities for both the tenants and the public. Now, this is language taken out of the code. We should meet the standards and the purposes of the comprehensive plan, which is also stated in the code, and it should therefore encourage high-quality architectural form and promote visual interests and reinforce visual appeal. It actually being the first PUD, this should be the showcase PUD for the community. And as such, we're basically requiring that the building design be modified. Probably the biggest part of this recommendation is that the building design be modified to provide for side-loaded garages. And many of us, as you can see from the photograph, that we feel that if a PUD is supposed to represent the highest architectural quality and residential, and to showcase our best residential development, then it should not be dominated by a front of garage doors. And we think that there's a solution by side-loading the garage doors and coming up with some creative reconfiguration of the site. There's a possibility that the project can come up strong. Yeah, very strong. With regard to building materials, the builder has stated that the property will enjoy the view of and the preservation of Minot's natural features. And as you can probably see from some of the drawings, that there will be a deck built in the back, so the residents will be able to enjoy the view of the topography from the back of their houses. We're also suggesting that landscaping and buffering would be required, but that would be provided to staff prior to review on construction. Now, staff provided roughly 14 conditions for approval, and approving a subdivision along with the PUD. So a number of those conditions relate to the requirements needed to approve a subdivision, and we've listed those in the report with regard to transportation, stormwater management, erosion control, other utility and sidewalk requirements. So we have a lot of comments, so I don't know if you want me to go through all the 14 conditions.
I think we'll wait right now.
Okay.
Mr. Davis, and I'll actually leave it at that for the moment, and let anybody who wants to speak on behalf of this application to come forward. Please state your name, and if you haven't already, please put your name and contact information down on the contact sheet for the purpose of minutes and such.
Sorry, I should have done that earlier. Thank you. My name is Raleigh Ackerman, Ackerman Surveying and Associates, and I'm here to answer some questions or present along with Dwayne Johnson, who is the owner developer of the property. This property, like Mr. Davis said, is located straight north or straight south of the new John Hoven School. It is 5 minutes from the country club to the east. It is 5 minutes from Radio City Park to the west. And it adjoins a shared use path on the north side of 37th. Virtually going through this, Mr. Davis said, is that this is the first PUD, we understand that. We've gone through the underlying zoning, and we would like to address the 14 items that are conditions of the approval. Number 3, we are opposed to number 3, and that's the side load. Opposed to the suggestion of using the side loaded garages. Nowhere in the current ordinances is it design specific that we have to use a certain type of product in a certain type of zoning. I'll give you, for instance, of the dilemma that we had. In the hidden fasteners. We all remember that because we were specific in what we talked about, and went through many meetings of people asking for variances, and went to the city council and asked for variances, and then at the, I believe it was the last steering committee, we had that removed, so we no longer are requiring that. And there again, we're not opposed to the idea of that, but in certain types of instances, this being one of them, we are at 3.34 units per acre, where we're actually allowed 5 times more than that. So we're actually allowed, 3.3, we're 16 units per acre is what is allowed in the underlying zoning. So we are considerably less than that.
Pardon me for interrupting. In the current zoning as ag, you're allowed that many units?
The underlying zoning being RM.
Okay.
And that's what an RM would be, and then also the difference in this being, I'm sorry, we're getting echo. This being a PUD versus RM zone is that obviously with our condo sites, or I'm sorry, not condo, townhouse sites, is that they're one-story buildings versus a RM zone, which would allow 3-story building 45 foot high. And also in that underlying zoning being an RM, it would also, the number of units there is 5 times greater than what we're asking for. Also, the lots per se, I'll just give you for instance, the lots that we have in Minot, there's some over in Edgewood, the Edgewood area, that 55 and under one. And those side load garages there take a width of 67 feet on the side. And we don't have that type of room on the topography that we're using. It's not a flat piece of property where we are preserving and building around the tops of the hills is what we're doing. That's what's dictating our alignment that we have. Since, if you looked at some of these photos, obviously, that's the existing ones that are on 16th Street going down the hill. And there's been a lot of improvements in products since those were built. There's colored doors that look like, there's all sorts of things that you can accent by rock or siding or all those types of things that Dwayne is going to actually talk about. And I think that kind of covers the...
So are you just objecting to item number 3, Mr. Ackerman?
3 and then only 5. Only 5 because of the fact that we believe that we just want to make it clear on number 5, being that it's not per unit. We don't want different colors per unit. If it's a building, in other words, a fourplex or I want to call it a townhouse, a twin home, just one. We're not opposed to a moderate color on that, and then the next building could be more than 2. That same building being, the same colors rather than going every unit that's in there, we would be opposed to that. I'm not sure. I don't think that's what they meant, but I could take it as a unit. We just wanted to clarify that. The rest of the conditions we're fine with, but it's a side loading on number 3, and just a clarification on 5.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Ackerman before Mr. Johnson comes up?
The other, I'll just...
One second, Mr. Ackerman. Commissioners? Okay, just wanted to make sure that...
Okay. One thing that I Mr. Davis did talk about is that there's a 32 unit complex. The 33, lot number 33 is a common element to the 32 units. So the 33 units, lot 33 is owned by 1/32nd interest in that lot. And that all that common element is maintained by the homeowners association. So just to clarify that a little bit too. It's very similar to what, you know, like if this was a condo, but obviously there's no financing things and things like that in a condominium anymore. We'll see where it goes.
Okay. You can have a seat, Mr. Ackerman. We'll be back to you. Mr. Johnson?
Good evening, Dwayne Johnson with Future Builders. Would you like me to talk about that number 3?
Just please present, and then we can address any of the issues or questions that our commissioners have.
Sure. I guess when it comes to the side-loading garages and the appeal of it and the look of it, it's in our best interest to have a strong project with lots of curb appeal. That is our plans, and like Mr. Ackerman said, these units you see here at the top of 16th, when they were built, you had a lot of buzz about kind of the look of them, of looking nice. Our intentions are to, with exterior products, different types of products, incorporate a good theme for the looks of our units. So as far as the side-load garages, the same answers that Raleigh had about the topography we're working with, and not that it's not an idea to think about of doing the side-load garages, but on this piece it makes it extremely difficult when you're trying to maintain that that acreage for the view of the people.
Commissioners? Oh, yeah, Commissioner Karpenko.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hi.
So is there consideration then at least to be staggering the buildings, setting them apart differently, or, what kinds of things so that it doesn't look like it's all garage straight in a row, different roof pitches, different, there's different staggers, or can you explain to us what you're doing to make it look a little bit better than what?
There currently is, some different roof pitches on this unit. There's hips, there's gables. There are a different layout. It kind of, as you see on your packet, the layout and the street kind of comes in a circle, so it kind of staggers itself, the units themselves. But we'll be doing, the elevations will stagger a little bit. But as far as getting away from the garages in the front, that is difficult, very difficult, if not impossible on a site like this.
Sure. So with the garages, just to make it look differently, are you saying that so if there's a fourplex or two or a twin home, are you going to do different garage facing roof pitches and alter those so that they look different? Is that, are you saying that? Yeah, you can
put, let's say on a couple of them, you can put it's called like a Dutch hip, where it's got a separate little roof on top of the garage, and then the next one wouldn't have it, but there's enough aesthetics there to help change the look of it.
Okay.
And that's our intention, is to do that.
Mr. Johnson, this is described as a luxury product, and that might have been just in the write-up and such.
Sure.
And you and Mr. Ackerman, I guess Mr. Ackerman more so, spoke about, proximity to the school and such, and the fact that there's going to be some sort of HOA in place, although it's not been established. Who do you expect to market this to with respect to its proximity to the school, and how you think about the HOA and the product you're going to create, and if you have a rough, idea of price point and such? I guess part of my question is, it seems like I don't recall the last time I saw an item that had 14 conditions attached to it. So it seems to me like this is moving a little quick, and if we want to have a PUD, not only a test case but a model for the exceptional application of this zoning, which is new, and I think it's a very good tool for developers to have and for the commission to consider. It seems to me it's hard to differentiate this from a product you'd see in many other places in the town. Setting aside, some of the squeezes we had to get housing built and such, I mean, we're obviously not in that situation right now, so.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're gonna market it to, they're 2-bedroom, main level, 4-bedroom, with a finished basement. We're gonna market them to people within the Bluffs community already, people within the, kind of as a upscale to the next step, a home. There's quite a few townhomes in the Bluffs, so we're marketing to some of our past buyers of ours, and also retired, people who are retiring, moving out of their home that they raised their kids in and moving into a townhome.
So how would you differentiate this from what you see just to the northeast in the way of those rows of condos or properties there? Because it seems very similar on the outside, short of having a view back over the backside.
Well, there'll be some of the landscaping will be different, obviously. The entrance into it, it's going to be kind of a private type entrance, as far as a little different than a normal street where we'll have some columns. So there'll be some aesthetics that you'll see right away that are quite a bit different, trees, planting, things like that. Obviously just by, I guess I know what the units you're talking about. So there's just a difference in product, it's a different product. It's not the same person won't be purchasing that, our product. Maybe the same person, but more on their second home or third home.
Visually, it looks pretty similar, though, and getting to the planning director's comment about wanting to have a showcase example for how to design and execute a PUD. I'm having a hard time seeing how, at least at this stage of how the planning is laid out, and again, going back to the 14 conditions where there's a lot of ambiguity that, we as commissioners have a hard time, I think. I'll speak for myself.
Sure.
Hard time seeing the details there. I mean, you say there's different, we can put a little Dutch hip here or this or that. I mean, what we have in front of us right now and what's in our packet is really nothing different than what's out there right now, for no disrespect intended, but
sure.
I'm having a hard time seeing how that showcases this new, zoning option for developers. It seems to me like there's the intent to try to, I was down on the site today, and it's obviously topographically challenged and such, and you look at everything from stormwater management and other things that are all of these conditions. It seems like there's a lot of legwork still to be done, and I'm just wondering, would it make sense to revisit the drawing board and maybe come back to us at a future point in time when there's more clarity and you can give us more specifics, because the PUD is a special sort of zone, I guess, in my humble opinion. And it also seems too where, and maybe Mr. Ackerman might address this, is that there should be an amenity element to it as the trade-off for getting the PUD zoning, and I don't see that here, but maybe I'm missing that. Whether it's a walking trail or something that's part of that PUD trade-off for getting that developer flexibility.
Yeah, in the PUD, part of the trade-off is conserving the natural views and aesthetics. We're on a 9.5 acre piece of land that you obviously, that you pay for, I guess, the 9.5 acres. And so part of it is preserving that and allowing, the community in the area to keep that, so it is preserved on the edge of the city like that.
But in a sense, it's kind of blocked off by the buildings, and there's no access, correct, from a public standpoint? It's not like there'd be a walking trail.
There's sidewalks through it, and there's room to see through the, see the views. On 13th, there's room to look in and see that also. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm just struggling with the direct trade-off with getting that flexibility to.
And that is that's the trade-off. It says right in the PUD that if conserving that is the trade-off.
Okay.
Yep.
Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Johnson? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Yes, Mr. Ackerman?
Thank you. Just a comment on the underlying zoning again. When you talked about the amenities, if you looked at the underlying zoning, which is the RM, if you are virtually a half mile from a school, a playground, other things, that the amenities that you were probably thinking about is different than what you would see, say, in amenities, a clubhouse or something else. but under the underlying zoning, it does address that. The amenities that, like Mr. Johnson said, is obviously described in the PUD as protection of the natural space and unrestricted view to the south of First Rush and Cooley. One of the things that I'm positive about is the fee simple ownership rather than a condo like we used to do a condo where you own the building or the ground under your building and not the fee simple that we're suggesting. So with the proximity to the Planet Country Golf Course, Radio City Park, and John Hoban School, we think that we meet the requirements of the underlying zoning.
And since you're up here, Mr. Ackerman, how would you differentiate the architecture and the visual appeal or view of this versus a lot of other apartments or condos we see in town?
Well,
Especially from the standpoint of being the path breaker on the PUD front.
if that's feedback, sorry.
No,
I'm not
what
sure
it-
what it is, but like Mr. Johnson explained, is that the architectural about adding the different types of pitches on roofs, that's no different than up in Edgewood area or you can tell by going into that subdivision what that architectural product is. You don't have a ranch style home. You have different types of roofs that sets that or any subdivision apart. That builder does that, and the zoning does allow for modifications to the PUD under
Well,
those sections.
Just one question regarding timing, since we're, I guess, the end of summer technically this weekend, but we'll see how the Farmer's Almanac works out. With all the overhang of conditional issues, is there a timing pressure on the part of the developer and such for this to be considered with so many key conditional additions that have been put on to this recommendation by the planning department?
I guess the way I look at it, it's probably no different, since we're talking about a number of different approvals here. I'm not concerned about the 14 conditions you have on there, because to me they're common. They're not outstanding issues. The only one that is 3, because none of us have ever seen that.
It's a pretty critical thing, this being a PUD, so.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about
this is a new thing for the city to be seeing, too.
the side load garages. That's not typical.
Yes. Well, a PUD's non-typical currently.
You're correct, but it's also.
Would you not consider that a critical element of this application?
I think it's an alternate to it. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. That's what I was asking. Thank you, Mr. Ackerman. Any other questions for Mr. Ackerman? Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience like to comment on this item, either for or against? Okay. Seeing no one else, we'll close the public discussion portion of this, and I'll turn it over to the commissioners for a recommendation.
I'd make a motion to hold for further review regarding condition number 3.
We'll wait for a second.
Motion to hold. I'd like further review on condition number 3.
And discussion, and actually just real quickly from the city attorney, can we would it be a general hold, or is the addition of a particular element of the hold applicable as well?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the motion would be to hold the entire item.
Would you like to amend your motion, Ms. Carmichael?
So amended, yes.
Okay. So, well, it's to hold the item, right, is what you said?
Oh, so the motion is to hold the entire item.
That it's
Okay.
been amended now, based on your comment.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. To hold the item itself, the entire item.
So that can be the main motion.
The main motion, yes.
Correct, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Seconded by Wexler. Okay. Good. Any discussion? Okay. The motion is to hold. Call the roll, please.
Carpengo,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Neither,
Abstain.
Wetzler, Burning,
Yes.
Bollinger, Gaynor, Hova.
Yes.
No, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Zimmerman.
Yes. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 2. A motion to hold passes. Moving on to agenda item number 2, it's an application by Carl and Carol Florez to subdivide Roach's 3rd Edition, Block 5, Lots 5 and 6 into one lot to be known as Florez Edition Lot 1. Also a variance to the required side yard setback for an existing detached garage from 3 feet to approximately 2 feet at the wall and approximately 0 at the eave on proposed Florez Edition Lot 1. This property is located at 510 and 512 10th Street Northeast. With that introduction, can we have staff comments, please?
Yes, the subject property is zoned R1, which is single-family residential, and it is designated low-density residential in the comprehensive plan. All the properties surrounding the subject properties are also zoned R1, single-family residential. The applicant is requesting a variance to the side yard setback, mainly to bring the existing detached garage into conformance. We believe that the applicant misjudged the required 3 feet that was needed for the side yard and ended up building into the side yard setback. And the eaves actually overhang and provides like a 0 feet setback to the adjoining lot line, side lot line. So the applicant is requesting a variance to put the garage into conformance. Staff is recommending denial because essentially the construction of the garage itself does not warrant a variance, and basically the problem is self-created by the applicant. And basically what the petitioner can do is either move the garage to the adjoining lot or demolish the garage and rebuild it. And just in addition, the applicant is requesting a combination of lots or combining of lots. So, and we believe that the applicant wants to build a new garage on the lot that will be then combined with the existing lot.
Okay. And is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on behalf? Please come forward and state your name and then also put your contact information down on the sheet, please.
My name is Cameron Birdall. I'm representing Carl. He wanted me to come here and explain the situation.
You say Beardall was the last
Birdall.
name? Birdall.
B-E-R-D-A-H-O.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Okay, I guess I built the garage for him in 2012. He bought the house right after the flood. Ended up tearing it down because the basement had backup. It didn't flood over there, but it did have backup, so he tore that down. We did have a survey. It was Nesdall surveying at the time. When we tried to get a copy of it here just recently, we had to get a different survey because we didn't have it. He didn't have it anymore. He's not in business. When he had the survey, we definitely had the lot lines there, and myself, I mean, I built the garage. I thought we were 3.5 foot, and we were given an extra 6 inches. Now, 4 years down the line, he wants to combine the two to add a garage on his empty lot, the 510. And then that's when we got the new survey. When the survey came back, it shows 2 foot and not 3 foot on the garage. So I guess that's why we're trying to get the variance, and I guess that's why I'm here, so I don't have to tear it down or move it over. And the way it lines up now, it's more into the yard and away from the property line than the existing garage that we had tore down was before the flood and stuff. So, I mean, the way the house is, it lined up with the garage. If we moved it over or did build it over, he wouldn't be able to access it at all anymore from the driveway, just because it would shift the door opening to behind the house, which he couldn't angle in there. So I'm here just, I guess, pleading my case, hoping to somehow get a variance for that. So.
Commissioners, questions? Okay. Thank you, sir. Please have a seat, just in case there are any follow-up questions. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on behalf of this agenda item, either for or against? Okay. Oh, sorry, please.
Commissioner, the fact that it's less than 3 foot would require a 1-hour rated assembly on the outside of this building for us to close the permit.
What was the last part, pardon me?
Because he's less than 3 feet to the lot line, he's going to need a 1-hour assembly on the outside of the building, if you approve.
Okay. Anyone else that'd like to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close off the public comment portion of this agenda item, and I'll turn it over to the commissioners for a motion, please.
Move to deny variance and approve subdivision.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, hearing none, call the roll, please. The motion is to deny the variance request.
What was the motion?
Motion is to deny the variance request
And approve the subdivision.
and approve the subdivision. Thank you.
Karpenko?
Yes.
Coop?
Yes.
Neither?
Yes.
Wetzler? Zimmerman?
Yes.
Burning?
Yes.
Bollinger? Gaynor?
No.
Holbach?
No.
Okay. Motion to deny is passed with the variance, I'm sorry, with the motion as proposed is passed. This variance, yep, the subdivision is approved, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 3. This is an appeal by Roosevelt Watts of a denied variance to the City of Minot zoning ordinance section 21-8A that states an accessory building shall be subordinate to the existing primary building on Goheens Addition, Block 6, Lot 5. This property is located at 2019 4th Street Northwest. And with that, could we have staff comments, please?
Oh, yes,
Manager
thank you.
here.
As you are aware, this petition was presented to the Plan Commission last month, and the Planning Commission actually voted to deny the variance. And essentially it's because the property, if it was granted the variance, would provide the very large garage, which would violate the zoning ordinance. And we understand there are some hardships, but based on what we discussed with the building department, there does seem to be a remedy for this, given the issue with the hard edge and the slab that was put in previous to any knowledge of what was going to be built on top of the slab. So given that, the Planning Commission is still recommending denial for the variance.
Okay, thank you.
Planning Commission staff, I should say.
And is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak on behalf of this application? Please come forward. Therefore, or against?
My name is Roosevelt Watts. I'm the owner of 2019 4th Street Northwest. I just wanted to ask, what are the alternatives that I can utilize in making this happen so that I won't destroy an expensive slab of concrete that I put on the ground?
Or to the planning director?
Well, we understand that, and we talked about this, is if you could cut into the slab and replace the thickened edge to the dimensions that would be appropriate for the garage that would conform to the code. And I know we talked about, you mentioned that you can't put two separate concrete parts together, but our understanding is that it can be done if there is the appropriate
Materials?
Well, materials, but the steel rod that would connect to two concrete.
I already understand where you're trying to go with it. Okay, let me help you out with that. You're talking about taking a slab of concrete and cutting it a third away, or whatever the dimensions that I have to cut away. Then you want to take steel and dowel into the concrete and then pour new concrete with the existing concrete that's already there. That type of feat is only accomplished when you're doing road construction. It's not utilized when you're doing residential garages or any type of commercial foundations. It's not used at all, and it's not recommended. I mentioned that in my letter that I gave you. I've talked it over with the Air Force engineers, I talked it over with the Corps of Engineers, and I also talked it over with Dean Keller's Paving that does paving all the time, and it's not recommended. It's not going to hold up. So where am I at now?
I would have to defer to the building department and.
Well, I mentioned it in a letter, and
Yeah.
you had the letter for quite a while, and I have not only the Air Force engineers, the Corps of Engineers, and Dean Keller's Paving all stating it. And if need be, I can get a letter from them stating that it's not a good idea to do that. That's why concrete is poured in a slab all at one time. It's not meant to be cut in half unless you're doing road construction where the roads are used to float along the highway. It's utilized for highway construction only, not for residential and not for garage building and not for commercial application. So where am I at? And no matter what the superintendent says that it can be done, yes, it can be done, but it will not hold up because that slab will either sink on one end or the other, and then I got a building that's going to fall apart. And that's what I was told by all three groups. So now where am I?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a question for the applicant. Did you apply for a building permit or a concrete permit?
I applied for a concrete, a pavement, foundation permit. And when I got the permit was approved and everything was gone through exactly through the department like it was supposed to have had gone. And when it was all completed, they signed off on it and said everything was good. There was never no mention that I could not put a building on that slab. Never, ever. So I followed all the rules and I did everything according to what was told that I needed to do. So now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. That is no fault of mine. So now what do I do? I mean, it's in you guys' hands. And I'm willing to work with you guys any kind of way you want to. And I've taken suggestions from Dean Keller, and I've taken suggestions from the Corps. I've taken suggestions from the engineers in the pavement department for where I work. And I work at Civil Engineering Technical Services Center. I've taken all the suggestions. So what am I to do? I'm not trying to go against you guys. It's not that I don't want to work with you guys, but mine is the last building in that row of apartment complexes that doesn't have a garage. So if my one building has a little bit of a garage that's a little bigger, 144 square feet, more so than everybody else, would it be so wrong to allow those people, if they want to do an addition onto their garage, to make theirs bigger? Is it really that bad? I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to rub anybody the wrong way. I'm just trying to figure out and reason with you guys to try to get some understanding here. I spent a lot of money and a lot of time, and I've done no wrong to no one. But I understand denial. I'm just trying to figure out why can't I get people to work with me and understand where I'm coming from after I spent all my money. I didn't ask for the approval, they approved it. So what am I to do? I didn't make it up. I didn't force them to approve the permit. They gave it to me. I didn't cheat when I filled out the permit. They had the drawings. So when they got the drawings, they said, okay, go ahead. And through the process, with a inspector there the whole step of the way, everything was approved. And the whole permit was closed out. So what am I to do? It's not my fault. So I gotta suffer because of this?
Mr. Watts, I apologize. I was out of town for business in the
Oh, I
last
know.
meeting, so I wasn't here for that. But was your intention originally to do something different than just a slab of concrete and the permit route that you
No,
went?
my
or-
intention was to build, they told me I had to do the foundation first. And then they asked me, what type of building you're gonna put up? I said, okay, well, I'm gonna do a stick building. Okay, well, you do this first, and then we'll get the permit for the stick building. I said, okay, fine. Everything that was told to me, I'm just going along with the flow. They told me, what, pour the foundation first. Then afterwards, we'll approve you to put your building up. Okay. So I poured the foundation. The dimensions were there. I didn't change them. I didn't make them up. They were already there. The permit was approved. It was signed for. And then after the concrete was poured and everything was done, they said, okay, you're good to go. And they closed out the permit. Had nothing to do with it. It was out of my hands. So now what am I to do? Now, if you guys want, been here 23 years, if it need be that I leave that slab sitting back there like it is, I don't have a problem with it. If that's what you guys want, I don't care. Not trying to be rude and not disrespectful. I'm 55 years old. I'm tired, man. Whatever you guys decide, I'll just let it be, and I'll just move on. But if you don't want me to improve my property, then just tell me you don't want me to improve my property. I mean, I'm not trying to be better than nobody, and I'm not trying to be less than nobody. I think that we can make this work without me having to destroy my concrete and know it's not going to work. To cut it in half and then try to dial into it. That's not gonna work. I've had people that's more experienced than all of us here, engineers, telling me that that's not gonna work. So what do you want me to do? You tell me what you want me to do, and I'll make it happen.
Commissioners, other questions for Mr. Watts at this time? Thank you, Mr. Watts. Is there anybody else in the audience that'd like to speak on behalf of this agenda item, either for or against? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
So,
if we could,
yeah,
could we
let me
hear from
just-
the, oh, you bet.
Oh, sorry, did you want to have, please, Commissioner Neither?
Oh, the building official, please.
Please.
It's a little bit different story we heard last
Okay.
committee meeting.
Mr. Chairman, we issue permits all the time as phased permits. Some are foundation only, some are shell only. When we do that, we issue them as a no implied use. If people they want at this time pour a foundation and put the structure on later. The permit said foundation only, did not imply a garage use on it or the size of the building that you wanted to put on it. He was issued the permit as a foundation only. Now, he was also told later that the building that, if he was going to use the whole slab, then the building would not be approved. That's, we had several conversations with Mr. Watts. The second thing is, they cut slabs all the time to add foundations in. This is a lightweight construction. It's, there's not a whole lot of weight imposed on this foundation. It's less than 26 feet in length. It's actually not the bearing wall of this building. The weight is on the east and west end of this slab. So it's really not a concern for us for him to do that. It's done all the time.
Well, I'm not an engineer, but would the recommended solution from where you stand there be to add onto the slab and then bring the building shape into conformity?
Add onto the slab or cut it back?
Okay. Oh, sorry, I guess looking at it needs to move west, correct?
North.
Oh, I'm sorry, east. Yes.
Whatever the square footage to reduce it to less than the size of the building, the main structure that's on the property right now is the intent.
Okay. Commissioners, other questions? Commissioner there?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any other additional comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing portion of this agenda item, and I'll turn it over to the commissioners for a motion, please.
I'll move to deny the
I'm
request.
sorry.
Just for
City
clarification,
Attorney.
for
Yes.
planning commission, this
Sorry.
is not a normal variance, it's an appeal of the decision that was made last month, so whatever is decided tonight will go to the city council for a public hearing on Tuesday night.
Yes, Commissioner Neither.
I'll move to deny the request.
Second from Coop. Further discussion? Okay. Call the roll, please.
Neither,
Yes.
Wetzler, Zimmerman,
Yes.
Burning, Bollinger, Gaynor,
Yes.
Holbach,
Yes.
Karpenko,
Yes.
and Coop.
Okay, motion to deny is approved. Moving on to agenda item number 4, this is an application by the City of Minot, represented by Lance Meyer, City Engineer, for a public plan review regarding the parking garage on original Minot Edition, west half of Block 3. This property is located at 5 Central Avenue West. And with that introduction, can we have staff comments from the planning director, please, if any?
Sure. We are recommending that the Plan Commission review the exterior finishing for the building and any attempt to protect the city's investment. There have been some drawings produced, and I want to ask if Jacqueline can come up and make the presentation from the city engineer's office.
Commissioners, City of Minot has been working in conjunction with B3 Studios and EAPC to develop an exterior design that would be compatible with the zoning ordinance and in a phased approach. I have asked Gloria of EAPC to come and present to you a PowerPoint that shows you the different exterior features based on the phased approach we're proposing for this project. This is going to be for both Central and Renaissance ramp, so if you don't mind us doing one presentation for both items, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Sure, we'll address both items separately, but we'll assume that the presentation's the same, if that's acceptable. Yep.
Good afternoon, Gloria Larsgaard with EAPC. We've been hired by the city to look at options to clad the parking ramps. The way they are right now, what you see the yellow sheeting that's on it, that's called dense glass, and it's not made to be exposed to the weather for long term. It's been already through a cycle of summer, and there's a possibility that during the winter, if left like this, is going to damage, just wear out, and the building itself is not going to be protected. So we come up with a CD with some options that pretty much will save what's the original concept that been presented to you before for the parking ramp with the apartments above. We are changing some of the materials, but the task at hand here is to try to preserve the character of downtown by textures and colors, and also to follow all the regulations, whether it's the IBC energy codes, but also the zoning ordinance. So, let's see if I will make this work. So what we are proposing is a phased approach, as Jacqueline said. This would be the first phase. The material that we're going to be using in this first phase is EFIS. EFIS is an exterior finish insulation system. So by trade, it's a material that will put some insulation on the building, satisfying the building code, the energy component of it, and then has some texture. And we are passing some of the samples around the table here for you to touch and feel. The EFIS comes in it's a very versatile material, very flexible. It comes in different finishes and textures, and above all, colors. So what you'll see on the board next to the EFIS sample is that we put some paint colors. You pretty much can paint in any color you want. They will call out the historical value of downtown, the bricks, the color, the golds, the colors that are typical of a downtown. With this approach, also we'll be able to do decorative trims, and so the columns that you see on the presentation over there can be done in EFIS. And we ask that the windows that were in the original concept will be done at the following phase. And at this phase, we could trim out the building again with EFIS, make them different color. We can work with those type of elements. So in this first phase, what we are proposing in the terms of the zoning ordinance is to provide contrasting yet complementary material colors, because we can use whatever colors we want, and textures. And a combination of horizontal and vertical design features. We can score the EFIS, and we can create a band on the bottom of the building to create a differentiation between the top and the bottom. As flexible as EFS is, has some limitation. One limitation is the weather, and the other one is when the EFS brought to the ground can be damaged. So let's talk about the weather. The EFS cannot be installed when the temperature is lower than 40 degrees. So what we're proposing is having a coat material that you will put as underlayment of the EFS, and it's not your typical Tyvek paper that you see that will tear and flap in the air in the winter in the wind, but it's a fluid material. It's an air and moisture membrane that gets put on either with spray or roller, and that can be up on the building for up to 2 years. It can be protected and creates a monolithic element around it, so we'll definitely protect it if this building or the weather turns worse before the EFS can be done this fall, and it will be next spring. And then when it comes to the EFS to the ground, what we've seen is that it gets dirty just by dirt that's on the ground, and also can be damaged by even just snow removal. So what we're proposing is an alternate in your base bid, which is in this following slide here. And this material is called the Nichiha. It's a fiber cement material, and if you see on the board that we passed out, has a very rough material. It wants to remind you of a stone, and we'll have a cap that you can put between the base and the top, and we'll probably do just a couple feet of it just to protect the EFS on the bottom. And we can bid that as an alternate, and then if we have money available, we can do that. Otherwise, the EFS can be still repaired if it gets damaged or whatever, but that's kind of a solution that we proposed. For phase 2 now, this building, the way you see it this way, is fairly plain. We have other elements to add, and we propose to do it in phase 2 when the retail gets developed. Apparently, the retail is a responsibility of the developer for the building, so what the city engineering department was thinking was to, when the permits get to the city for filling in the space for retail, then ask them as a requirement to fill in also the rest of the element that can fulfill the final elements of the zoning ordinance. So we will be adding windows, like you see in the slide. We'll be adding awnings, fabric canopies, and any other trim elements, cornices that we want to add at this point. This way, the way you see it in this slide, it is very similar to what was originally proposed when the apartments were proposed for this building. So I just have one more slide here at the end. This was the original design for the place, and as you can see, except for the use of EFS, we're using the same material that originally were intended, and they will match the downtown look, and they will match, they will match what was the intent, purpose of the building.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Karpenko?
I have the privilege of parking in one of these structures every day. And my question is, first of all, what are you going to do with the window openings then right now? Are they going to stay just that plywood with that children's artwork on them, or what's the intent
No,
for?
we can coat them with the EFS, and then if we want to create an accent, as you see the board around it, we can make trim pieces out of EFS, and they can be different color, different texture, so you can color the block inside the trim. You can do things like that, but they won't be window at this point.
Second question, if I may.
Yes, please.
I understand the 40-degree weather. What's the realistic possibility of actually getting the EFS applied this year?
I did talk to a local installer, and he said it might be a small enough building because it's not very tall that he would just shelter it and do it anyway. I'm sure there's going to be a little upcharge for heating, the shelter, but EFS is very quick to install. So, and the part that really needs to be sheltered and heated is when they put the final coats on it. The installation can be done at any time. So, there is a possibility. I don't want to tell you, but we'll definitely leave it open to the contractor to offer that possibility to do it this fall, if that's what they want to do.
Just, I guess, I had the impression it was imperative to get it on ahead of this winter, so it didn't have to go through even one winter of the elements.
Right, that coat that we will put down, we can put that right away, and that will protect it during the winter. And then, you know, you will defrost if it would run out of time. But as I said, I talked to the local installer, and he said it would be no problem.
And frankly, as a community citizen, the sooner this is done, the better this community can move on from this.
Okay, commissioners, other questions from us? Yes.
Yeah, so is there 3 things we're approving on this? Are we doing any approving? Or what exactly are we doing with this?
It's, I believe, well, it's the plan for the public review, and we would approve that, and then it'll move on to the
Like the
council
colors or
and
the
that.
products or?
Yeah. And I think the plan as presented here for protecting the ramps through the elements, even though it might be a multi-step process. Yep, please.
This is being presented to you for the plan review, but then we'll be presenting it tomorrow at Public Works and Safety to get the approval to move forward with putting it out for bid design with the consultant, and that will be going in conjunction with you guys' approval of the exterior features and the overall concept for these 2 projects. Cindy, would you like to add anything else?
Mr. Chairman, then in addition, as Gloria referenced, there would be alternates, and when the final bids came in, it would be presented to the City Council and the committee, Public Works Committee. I guess it's going finance, what alternates that they would want to finance and move forward with.
Thank you.
Question?
But yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. So, how long is this process? I mean, by the time it gets approved, realistically, Jacqueline, are we going to get any of this building exterior done downtown this year?
We're hoping to have approval by committee Wednesday, City Council next Tuesday, following Tuesday, and then rush the engineers and the consultants to get the final designs out for bid and have something to City Council hopefully in October. And then,
If I may, Mr. Chairman, if it does come in earlier, we do have 3 City Council meetings in the month of September, and/or if it's necessary, a special City Council meeting can be called if we need to approve it because of the weather.
and to add on to your question earlier, Chairman Karpenko, Chairman Zimmerman, Commissioner Karpenko, we're doing a phased approach, and especially those windows are being left the way they are, because like with any construction, if a retailer, it's like a build out of a show only. If a retailer wants certain windows, we don't want to put those in for them and have them take them out and put in different windows. So we're leaving those in place now to protect the overall structure, and from the construction activities that will occur in the future, and then B, for people how they want it to suit their specific needs for their business.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm less concerned about the actual window going in. I'm more concerned about getting rid of that ugly yellow building glass wrap that's down there. So if we have a chance to EFS it this year, I would strongly recommend that the entire thing be done and cut that out later.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Thank you both. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to comment on this agenda item? Either for or against? Please come forward. Okay. Seeing no one else, I'll close off the public hearing portion of this agenda item and turn it over to the commissioners for a motion, please. And this is just agenda item number 4 right now.
Can I make that motion?
Commissioner Karpenko?
Even though I'm the downtown business owner, I'm not financially vested other than a citizen,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep.
I move to approve as presented.
Okay, second from Coop. Any further discussion, commissioners? Okay, call the roll, please.
Karpenko?
Yes.
Coop?
Yes.
Neither?
Yes.
Wetzler?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Burning?
Yes.
Bullinger? Gaynor?
Yes.
Hobach?
Yes.
Okay, motion is approved. Moving on to agenda item number 5. This is an application by the City of Minot for a public plan review regarding the parking garage on original Minot Edition, Block 11, lots 13 to 24. This property is located at 205 First Street Southwest. And I think since this is essentially a duplicate of the past presentation, both the recommendation from city staff as well as the consultants, unless there's anything else to add, I would close up the public comment portion right now. Is there anything to add from the audience? Okay. We'll close the public hearing portion of this, and I'll turn it over to the commissioners for a motion, please.
Move to approve as presented previously.
Second by Coop again. Okay. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Karpenko?
Yes.
Coop?
Yes.
Neither?
Yes.
Wetzler?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bernie? Bullinger? Gaynor?
Yes.
Hobart?
Okay, and there's two things on the other business agenda real quick. A couple of past commissioners we just want to acknowledge right now, both Kevin Mayer, who served from August 14th to May 2016, and then Mr. Brendan Howe, who served 10 years from January 2006 to June 2016. We'd like to acknowledge their service to this commission. And lastly, I just want to offer a best wishes. Sorry you're leaving, but best in the future for our former city planner, Donna Bai. If you could just stand up real quick. Donna's been with the city for 15 years, and I still blame her for getting me on this commission about 11 years ago, I think, about now. But Donna, congratulations on a long career, and good luck on the next steps. And we know that you'll be still serving the city in many capacities. So good luck, and thank you very much. And with that, we'll adjourn this meeting.